We just got a crazy good deal on this 1989 Honda TRX250r. You never see these pop up for sale on Facebook for a decent deal. We paid $2,500 for it. So I actually found this while buying a different machine. It was not posted, and it was sitting in the guy's garage in the corner. And I asked the guy, I said, "Do you want to sell this thing?" And he said for the right price. So he said this thing hadn't ran in years. He parked it after he could not get it to run right. He said it was kind of boggy and just never sounded good. So he parked it, let it sit, and he said he'd sell it to the right person. So I actually offered $2,500, and he came back and said he'd sell it for $25,000 if I bought the other machine for full price. Typically in my area, these go for like $5,500. I've seen them go all the way up to $9,000 depending on the year and condition. And this one's actually really nice. So I think we got a pretty good deal. I'm hoping there's nothing majorly wrong with it. When I was there, I tried to start it up. It would not start. So I'm guessing it needs a full gone through. But I think it has potential. It's super clean. All the plastics are in pretty good condition. You can see just a little melting spot right there from the pipe. Seat has no rips in it. Pro taper bars. Engine's super clean. Looks like new chain and sprockets on there. Tires aren't bad. It's got the grab bar in the back. It's kind of loose. Tail light's still on there. You got the FMF silencer and Gold Series fatty pipe on there. It's pretty nice. Got the front bumper. I believe different A-arms. Looks like it's powder coated frame. Headlights still on there. New grips, different gas caps. So, I mean, for $2,500, I think we did pretty good. If we can get this thing running and driving today. So obviously that's the goal. We are going to get this thing off the trailer, start digging into it, and we'll see what we find. Alright, little walk around here. A closer look at it. Thing looks pretty nice. Alright, let's try to start this thing. Alright, it's gonna need a good gone through. I don't think it's getting gas. Doesn't even want to pop over, so. Alright, I'm hoping this thing has good compression. It feels a little iffy. Alright, we got this thing in the garage. Let's start going over the whole thing. So we're going to start with the oil. This thing's been sitting for a couple years, so let's see what the oil looks like. Here's the oil check bolt down here. We can check that too. Let's see if there's anything in here. Ooh, looks pretty black. I think she needs some new oil. Doesn't smell like gas. It does smell like oil. If oil starts pouring out, that means it's filled up all the way. I'm not seeing anything. So it might be a little bit low on oil. So we'll have to fill it up a little bit more before the first start up here. I think the seat's just bolted on. Alright, back plastics came off. Let's take a look at this air filter setup here. Interesting, it looks like it's got the original Keihin carb. That's good. Yeah, I'm guessing this air filter lets a lot of dust in. That should have a sleeve over it. Unless you're just road riding it, but these filters typically allow a lot of dust in. Prefer a foam filter, especially riding in the sand. Looks like the head has a ground wire going to it. Never seen a ground go right to the head like that. That's interesting. Looks like this one's got 6 gears. 1 down and 5 up. Engine looks good. We're looking for any cracks in the engine. There's a little gas leak right there, you can see, or oil leak. I'm not seeing any cracks on the engine case at all. These things are wrapped up by the chain. Get those out of the way. All right, we've got the petcock to off right now. Let's try to get this gas line off. There we go. Ooh, it looks pretty dry. Let's see if the petcock works. Yeah, it's working. Let's see if there's any water in the gas here. Petcock is definitely working. So far, not seeing any water in the gas. Looks pretty good. So that's not the problem. All right, I'm curious to see if this thing shifts through all the gears. So, neutral. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. There's 6. Alright, shifts smoothly through all the gears, so transmission should be fine. Let's get these front plastics off. That would come off, I think. All right, let's see. I'm looking around the head for any leaking. I don't see any coolant leaks around the head. Let's see if there's any coolant in the radiator here. Yep, there's some in there, could be topped off. The oil didn't look milky, so I'm guessing the water pump seals are fine. Right down here. Yeah, no leaking around anywhere. So we won't know until we do a compression test here. All right, let's get this plug out. See if we have spark at the plug. Running a BR8ES plug. That is the correct plug. See what the plug looks like. It looks a little lean. It's pretty white. So maybe that's why I was bogging. Just running a tad lean. So I wonder if this thing was jetted for the pipe and for the air filter without an air box. So typically if you don't have an air box, you need to up the main jet, but we'll see. Yeah, it looks a little bit lean to me. Plug was pretty wet looking though. Alright. Let's see if we have spark. Alright, kill switch is to the run position. Everything should be good. This is front kick, so it's a little bit tricky to kick it over here. Let's see. Ah, no spark. That might do it. Oh, there we go. Just wasn't kicking hard enough. There we go. Seems like pretty good spark. You really have to kick it though to get any type of spark. Seems pretty good. Just want to see if it's still consistent through every kick. Yep. Yeah, we're getting consistent spark. I'm gonna take that off. We might throw a new spark plug in when we do the first startup, just so we can see how this thing is running. All right, let's try to get a compression tester in here. See what we get for compression. Right now we've got spark. If we have compression, this thing might fire up today. All right, so on these machines, accepted compression is 155 to 185. So anything within that range, we're good. It will run probably on 100 PSI, but it probably won't run very good. So if this is less than 150, that could be the problem. We're hoping this thing doesn't need a rebuild. So we're hoping we get above the 150 mark right here. Let's see what we get. All right, here's throttle open. Oh, we're 170, that is perfect. That's right within spec. Well, the problem is not compression. It's gotta be the carb. So compression checks out. I was a little worried about that. Kicking it over Didn't really feel like I had a ton. And typically with that good of compression, we're probably not going to have a head gasket failure. So I'm guessing the head gasket's just fine. But we will see. Looks like this ground wire is going from the frame to the engine. Wonder why they added that. Maybe because of the powder coated frame wasn't getting a good ground. I'm not sure. But let's take a look at the carb next. We'll get that out and start working on that. Alright. See if there's gas in the carb here. Alright, we can just take out the clamp down here. I will say having the air box off makes taking off the carb really easy. That just comes out like that. We can just leave that there. The dangle. And then carb should come right out. And that push on the boot here. Looks like there's a crack forming there. That's just loose. See that? We'll have to see if that's going all the way through. That could be why it was running really lean. Big air leak right there. See if the slide's working. Yeah, it's going all the way down. Looks good. Alright, let's take a peek. Alright, let's take a peek inside. Oh, that one's kind of stripped out. I'm sure the seller has been in here many times. Alright, here we go. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, there's gas in it. Looks pretty clean. There's a little gunk in there. Almost looks like a little sand. But yeah, overall pretty clean. I love when people don't use ethanol gas. When they let their machine sit. Got the main jet here. Take a look. Got a little gunk on her. 182. That's a big main. That is a huge main. That was clear. 182. So maybe this thing wasn't running lean, but based on the plug, it looked like it was. That is crazy. Pin comes out. Let's see what that float height's at. Yeah, it looks pretty good. We'll have to see what the stock float height should be at. Alright, needle looks perfect. Take a look at that pilot. I'm guessing that pilot's clogged. It's gotta be, because this thing wasn't starting. Everything else looks pretty good. Let's see what the pilot's at. 50. That's a big pilot too. Yeah, that's clogged though. Yeah, clogged up pretty good. Well, that would be the culprit. So, if that turns out to be the only problem, that will be insane. So, clogged up pilot, but I believe 50 is pretty big for a pilot. Let's see what the air screw's at. 1, 2, exactly 2 turns out on the air screw. There's a spring in there. Overall, not bad. There's a little gunk down in here we're gonna blow out. But other than that, it looks pretty clean. We'll take the choke off, check that out. Looks good. It's working. Brake cleaner and we should be good to go. And we'll blow out that pilot, make sure that's clear. But yeah, not bad. So we have compression, we have spark, and now if we clean out that pilot, we should be getting fuel. This thing should start up. So it looks like the stock main on the 250Rs are going to be 152 and 48 for the pilot. So we are running a 50 and a 182. So we are way up on the main. But I was looking at the forum and it said that a lot of guys that have a pipe and no air box run like around the 170 to 180 main jet. So it's pretty close. We might be a little bit rich on that main. We might need to drop down to like a 175, 178 area. But we'll see how it runs here if we can get this thing fired up. All right, we've got this little carb cleaning kit on Amazon here. Let's see, these are pretty tiny. Let's see if I can find one small enough for the 50 pilot jet here. That one goes all the way through, no problem. So I'm going to scrape some of that gunk out of there. Then we'll blow through it with the compressor. I like to go through these little holes too. Those can be clogged up. Alright, we got this carb all cleaned out. We're going to be checking the float height. Stock float height is 16 millimeters. Right in here. See how that float compresses that pin on the needle? You don't want that compressed. You want it just sitting on the pin like that. So right about there, it's not compressing. And you can take this tool, you want to go on the surface of the gasket right here and go right to the float, the top of the float. And as you can see, that is perfect. See that? So we are spot on there. Also check the needle position here before we put everything back together. Let's see where that clip is at. Alright. Alright, we're right in the middle position. Needle clip. So we'll leave that for now. We might mess with that later. This thing's running kind of crappy. Cutout notch part goes towards the air filter side. Well, that one was really loose. Take this guy off. And we have to check that gap there. Make sure there's not a hole in the reeds here. These look like new bolts. let's take a look. Got your gasket there. Gasket looks good. Alright, manifold. Doesn't look like that goes through at all right there. See, there's no light you can see through anything. So that's good. So that isn't a problem. That all checks out. No cracks in here at all. Looks pretty good. Alright, here are the reeds. Ooh. Those look nice. Those look brand new. Carbon fiber reeds. Those look pretty nice. See if they're opening here. Yep. 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 Yeah, those look perfect. So those look brand new. So these are V-Force reeds, it looks like. Nothing wrong with those. We went ahead and cleaned out the gas tank, and we've got fresh fuel going in there. So we're all good there. Let's get this back on. I noticed the petcock's leaking a little bit. Let's see if it drips here. I'm pretty sure it's out of these lines. See a drip forming here. It's a very slow leak, but we're going to put a clamp on both these lines. Alright, that shouldn't leak anymore. Alright, let's see if the carb leaks. Reserve. Gas is flowing. Hope it doesn't leak here. So far, so good. Alright, I think we're good. Nothing coming out of the overflow at all. Before we attempt to start this thing, let's drain the oil and get that changed. The oil drain plug bolt is right there. It's pretty black. Alright, here's the oil. Seems like we were really low on oil. There's barely anything in there. It's a good thing we're changing it out. It's pretty black too. But no metal chunks or anything like that. We're using 10W40 wet clutch oil. We're going to be using 750 milliliters. And we'll check the check bolt, make sure we're filled up to the correct amount. So this oil must be leaking from the cases somewhere on this engine. just a little bit more. It'll pour out any excess. Yep, it's pouring out right now. That looks good. So we are filled up to the correct amount. All right, we've got spark, we've got compression, we've got gas going to the carb, carb's cleaned out. Everything should be perfect, so let's choke it and see if this thing fires up. Ready to go. Go. Sounds pretty good. Idling perfectly. Oh yeah. Pipe is a little bit loose here. Tighten that up. Yeah, sounds really good. I like the sound of that. No leaking at all. Smoke in the right amount. No leaking from the carb. Yeah, this thing sounds great. Still no leaking. I think we're good to go. Kill switch works. Alright, took a little bit, but she finally fired up and sounds really good. So we won't know if this thing bogs until we're on it, riding it. We're going to take the jet kit along to the land and really test this thing out. The previous owner said it had a little bog to it, so we'll see. Yeah, everything else seems good. We're gonna tighten up some bolts, get this thing prepped for the first ride, get all the plastics back on, and we should be good to go. We've got the fresh oil in there, fresh gas in there. We'll bring some more gas along. Let's see how much we have in here. I just mixed it 40-to-1. Yeah, we'll have to mix up some more. And then we'll top the coolant off. So I think the pilot jet being clogged was the whole problem. All right, plastics are all back on. Check the brakes, make sure those are working. Front brake works. Rear brake. Yep. All right, checking all the lug nuts here. Those are all on there. Those look good. Those all look good. And the rear ones look perfect. All right, checking the chain. Last time we were doing a quad test, the chain fell off. There's the master. Clip looks good. All right, chain checks out. All right, we should be good to go. A gallon of 41 going in. All right, we're bringing a bunch of jets along, just in case this thing is boggy. We can rejet it out by the land. All right, let's see if she fires right back up here. See if it moves. Well, made it up to the land. Let's see if this thing has a bad bog like the seller was stating. Well, first kick isn't too bad. Let's see how this goes. Well, I have no idea what the seller was talking about. This thing does not have a bog at all. Thing absolutely rips. Thing is awesome. I cannot believe it. I was fully expecting it to have a really bad bog. and it didn't. The only thing that was pretty sketch is that the throttle stuck when I was going pretty much full throttle. So I just had to pull in the clutch to get it to stop doing that, and this finally came back out, but that was a little scary. You guys could probably see that in GoPro, but yeah, that's really the only issue. Suspension feels good, revs out completely all the way. Thing is just a bullet. Running perfect. So this one's good to go. I think the only problem with this thing was the clogged up pilot jet. Crazy. And maybe these bolts right here were a little bit loose for the intake boot there, the manifold. So I wonder if there's a slight air leak right here and that was causing it to bog. That's the only other thing I can think of, because it doesn't have a bog at all. Thing shifts smooth, pulls hard, everything you want in a 250R. So this one's good to go. We are going to go home, check out that plug, and see if it's nice and brown. Well, first ride went pretty well. So let's take a look at the plug now and see what that looks like. Maybe it was just a new plug in there. I'd be really surprised if it wasn't brown. Oh yeah, it's turning chocolatey brown now. Check that out. That's looking really good. Look at that nice chocolatey brown color that's turning. That is literally the perfect color. Wow. So our jetting is spot on. Well, the 1989 TRX250r is officially done. All the brakes work, revs out completely, doesn't bog, starts right up first kick, spark plug looks perfect. So really, there's not much more we could do with this thing. Yeah, it runs great. No complaints. We got really lucky on this one. Getting this thing for 2,500 bucks. And like I said, you can sell these all day in Wisconsin for $5,500. So we got a crazy good deal, and I could not be happier. I thought for sure this quad was going to have something majorly wrong with it, but it turned out the pilot jet being clogged was the only issue. That's why it didn't run. And possibly the manifold being loose on here causing an air leak, which I think maybe that's what caused it to run a little bit lean and possibly bog. But yeah, that's pretty much it. This one was a pretty easy fix. I was expecting the worst, but we actually got away with just a couple little fixes on this one. Hope you guys enjoyed picking this thing up, diagnosing it, going through it, doing the first start, and then the first ride. Because this thing absolutely rips. And for 2,500 bucks, you really can't go wrong. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for next video. And until next time, we are out.